Hi, everybody. It's Chris Lipper from On the Bus Sales Training Coaching Consulting, and we are here today for our class on prospecting or canvassing, as I'd like to call it. And it is from chapter 10 in the book. And what I'd like to do, if okay with you, is my book is now on Audible, is have the Audible chapter read to us. It's like 2 minutes. It's not a big deal. And Jonathan, who is the narrator, does a great job. So I am going to do that, and then we will discuss it. So let me just get it up. And here we go. Did that work? No. Let's try that again. Technical issues. Here it is. Play. Why isn't it playing? Oh, wait, I'm in the wrong screen. We'll get there. Apologies. Here we go.
Chapter 10: Prospecting, Canvassing, and Knocking on Doors. Perhaps not all of us can get our introductions to prospects via networking and doing one-to-ones. Another quick way that is cheap, quick, and easy, and only takes a bit of guts is canvassing, knocking on doors. This is much easier with tangible products versus services, which takes some explaining, and you must make it past a receptionist. In the early 90s, I worked for the world's oldest and largest embroidery company, Lion Brothers. They asked me to open up 7th Avenue for them, and I basically did that by knocking on doors. Today we call it canvassing. I started on the top floor of the Empire State Building, which at that time was mainly apparel companies, and I hit every door on the way down. I got my first order on the 16th floor. I learned a lot along the way, and I learned how to canvass. And it's not as hard as one might think. What was my technique? I would just walk up, knock on the door, and say, "Hi, what do you guys do here? I don't suppose you'd have any interest in seeing or trying our embroidered emblems. Do you guys use them now? Who do you use? Oh, do you like them?" If I were doing it now, I'd ask, "What do you like about them? What don't you like? Is that a big enough deal to make a changeover? Can I show you some stuff that we've done recently?" I could also knock on the door and say, "Anyone here I could talk to about embroidery emblems?" Give yourself a behavioral goal. Each day is a good thing, and it's covered in our next chapter, Cookbooking Behavioral Goals. For me, it was doing a building a day, even if it was a small building. For you, it might be mining LinkedIn for an hour a day, or interviewing new salespeople once a week, or going to more networking events. Having behavioral goals is a great thing. So depending on the size of the building, I had a goal. If it were a larger building, I would pick up particular floors, but I would remember where I left off and come back the next day. In today's world of the internet and LinkedIn and all these other social media places, I guess canvassing and cold calling are not done a lot, and nobody's knocked on my door in decades. That tells me there's an opportunity for those of us who have the guts to do it. I still believe that the best selling is done belly to belly, eye to eye, handshake to handshake. Give it a shot. What do you have to lose?
All right. So that's a short chapter, and but I enjoy him. I like how he reads it, and these are true stories, you know. And in the old days, when you had a territory, or if you were that type of salesperson, we didn't have networking events like we do now. At least I didn't know about them. And if you were in a big city, you would go knock on doors. And if there was a sign out front that said no soliciting, that basically said, "Come on in, we buy everything," you know. So
Are you serious?
yeah, I would definitely go in. And I would take pictures of the directory downstairs, so I knew who was in the building and who I wanted to see. And websites were not really there yet, so most companies didn't have one, but you could research them a little bit. That sale I got on the 16th floor was the biggest person in the building. So
Do
it was.
so you really think that you could go do it now and get appointment.
I don't have the same motivation that I had then because I was broke and I was
Right. But I mean, for your listeners, like for us.
yeah, I think it can be done. I think it's done in a different way. I think someone like David Quick, who is in office buildings all the time and is working with a client, there is no reason he can't knock on the doors next door on that floor and saying, hey, I'm on the floor. I had an hour to kill. I figured I'd just stick my nose in here to see what you guys do. And maybe you could use some IT support. Here's a card. If you ever have a problem, love to help you.
Yeah. And I think then what you're doing is you're trying to hit the timing of if somebody has an issue with IT, then they will sit and talk to you. Otherwise, they're going to like get you out as fast as they can.
Probabilities are like so small that they're going to meet somebody right then and there. So
What's that?
probability is like so small that they're going to meet somebody right then and
Yeah,
there.
but you never know because
But
I
it's-
gotta tell you, people get pissed at their IT companies all the time.
Yeah. And if you're not there, you're not in the game. If you're not putting yourself out there, you'd have zero chance versus a small chance.
Years ago, we had David make pads with sticky notes, these kind of pad things, and they were numbered 1 to 10 so they could write down their IT issues and then call when they got to 10 kind of thing. So, it just takes guts and you never know. The best relationships I have sales wise didn't take place on formal levels. They took place sitting on airplanes next to someone, sharing a cab, being in an elevator, being introduced. It wasn't necessarily the formal business type environment. But what I would like to talk about also are what are the current modern day techniques that we can do for canvassing? What are some of the things we can do? LinkedIn's an obvious one. But what else could we do?
Well, the LinkedIn ones, I'm getting so pissed off at the ones where I get somebody that wants to link with me or it says I want to connect, but they don't give me any note. I don't know them from Adam. I will not link with them anymore.
I look at what they do. Usually it's like a business development person or salesperson or somebody like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. I will look at if I have multiple connections that know them, I look at that. And also if they're in an industry that makes sense for me to network with somebody there. But other than that, if they're just somebody, and if they're like in Bangkok or something, I just don't do it. But
what I'm noticing on LinkedIn is it's really just become a free for all for salespeople. It's everybody
God.
selling at each other and it's a real turnoff.
Yeah. And I mean, I have people sending me emails in mails, but they're talking about their product. I'm like, that is the most ridiculous thing. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, I got one yesterday, just like it. So I'll tell you what I have found, and it's through many of you that I really got re-engaged with it, and it's Google My Business. And the people that are growing right now, I'll always say, so where are you finding all the business? And the answer consistently has been from Google My Business.
Now, I will say that most of those are, I mean, David might benefit from that. Most of them are more like the product, local service versus professional services, I think, right?
Yeah, my dogs are barking, so I'm just muting myself for a second. But yeah, I would agree.
Like more transactional.
Yeah.
But I think it's still,
so it makes sense to do it. Yeah, to make sure you have something there.
So you got, hold on one sec, sorry.
So he's asking what the current things are besides LinkedIn and Google My Business. Is there anything else? Well, there's the good old networking. I mean, that's the networking groups is definitely, it's not necessarily new, but it does evolve for sure.
So I want you to think also in terms of, so there's three main ways that I know of getting business, and using generic terms. There's fishermen, there's hunters, and there's farmers. So I think when we're doing this kind of stuff, we're not farming, right? We're not planting seeds and tending to them and waiting for them to grow before we harvest, right? I don't think that's what we're doing here.
Well,
So
I'm doing that. I've been doing networking, I think, is planting seeds.
But this isn't networking. So what we're talking about is canvassing.
Oh, right. Okay. Got it.
And I agree with you that networking is a lot of that. And it's creating some luck for down the road of being in the right place at the right time. But I think this is a little bit of fishing where, so if we're using Google My Business, right? That's bait. That's the bait or the chum that we're throwing out there to bring the fish to us. And if we have the right hook or whatever, if we're shiny enough, they're going to grab on and we're going to have a conversation. But we need to have the information out there.
Social media could be fishing too, right?
Yes, or hunting, either one, because there we are picking our zip codes, our demographics, all of those.
If we're paying for it, yeah.
Yes. But any other thoughts on what could work or you've tried that did work? I'd be remiss if I didn't mention virtual trade shows, right?
Yeah, or any kind of presentation, webinars. I do webinars. I do podcasts. I mean, any kind of. I'm working on several videos right now.
And the bait and the chum for those things are the videos. It is the invitation. It's what we're sending out there. David, when you do a webinar and you're sending out 200 invites, if 2 people come, that's a 1% return. That's probably about normal.
Yeah.
Right. But think of the value. And you guys have heard me say this at the trade show talks. The value is in the invitation. It's the 198 that didn't come, that see what you're doing. There's great value to that. Right. And it becomes a referral conversation, where somebody can say, this guy, David Quick, I don't really know him, but he does these interesting webinars. You might be interested. Check him out. Here you go.
And again, I think that's a little bit of farming as well, because you're planting seeds for the time that they need it.
In this day and age, I think hybrids to a lot of what we've been doing are necessary. And I think we need to think differently and get different results. And you guys are, we all are, we have to. But I just want you to start thinking of other ways of canvassing, and the social media aspect is clearly a winner. It's clearly one we all should be paying more attention to. So that was the thought of the moment. Any other comments or thoughts before we shut this down?
Yeah, to your point, I invited like 800 or 900 people to the trade show. I mean, I didn't really get much in the way of get any business from it, but it was more the reactions from people that I invited that were the engagement that I found.
Keep doing it, David. Keep inviting them. They say it takes 7 touches so you get a sale. Or, I don't know where that comes from or if it's true, but I would keep inviting those same 700-800 people and just add to your list and keep going.
Their pain points evolve and change. And yeah.
Yep. I think that Karen and I have somewhat of unique products, and the more people can hear about it and understand what we do, the better. And David, for you, it's really a matter of being in the right place at the right time, where the previous vendor screws up somehow.
Yeah.
You can
this
come
is building
in.
Awareness that I'm here.
Yeah. And I think you always should say that you've been at this 12 years. I think you should be giving your founding date more.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was a quick one, but I don't feel it really needs much more than this. There's no reason to go deeper, but it does take guts, and just have the guts. Just do it and make it a KPI for yourself that you're going to virtually knock on some doors every month. Because for those of you that don't like asking for referrals for whatever reason, this is another way. If you don't like doing this, then ask for referrals or cold call, worse, but we need a way of bringing in some new blood to our systems. Okay?
Well, sorry, one more thing that
Yeah.
I've been meaning to do that I think would be good is going back to snail mail, like doing a postcard or something.
100%.
Because people, it's unusual now. It used to be, yeah, and now emails are less likely to get anybody's attention.
I don't think we need to go
Postcards
back
cost
to,
money.
I don't think we need to go back to faxes,
No,
but I think snail mail is a good thing.
yeah, but it does cost money if you wanted, I don't like to do those things myself. I pay somebody.
Well, but the post office has a wonderful service. So again, you can target mail carriers' bags. So this is more on a retail level than a B2B, but you can specifically specify an address, an area, and they'll put your card, and you're not paying for postage. So it's less expensive than postage, and it's very targeted.
Mhm. Yeah.
But for David in particular, I think the best thing you can do is just knock on the door and say, hey, I was next door. We got finished early. I had some time to kill. And I was just curious, what do you guys do? You ever need IT support? I'm up here all the time. Something like that, without it making sound like your customer is breaking down a lot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I'm here all the time because, yeah.
Yeah,
We're just doing our proactive visits.
whatever it is. But it just takes guts. But where's the upside? You know, it's there. All right, I'm going to kill the recording. Thank you for playing.